March along, sing a song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. And it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cages loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. And it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way.
Mr. President, world leaders, and distinguished delegates, welcome to New York. It is a profound honor to stand here in my home city as a representative of the American people to address the people of the world. As millions of our citizens continue to suffer the effects of the devastating hurricanes that have struck our country, I want to begin by expressing my appreciation to every leader in this room who has offered assistance and aid. The American people are strong and resilient, and they will emerge from these hardships more determined than ever before. Fortunately, the United States has done very well since Election Day last November 8th. The stock market is at an all-time high, a record. Unemployment is at its lowest level in 16 years, and because of our regulatory and other reforms, we have more people working in the United States today than ever before. Companies are moving back, creating job growth the likes of which our country has not seen in a very long time. And it has just been announced that we will be spending almost $700 billion on our military and defense. Our military will soon be the strongest it has ever been. For more than 70 years, in times of war and peace, the leaders of nations, movements, and religions have stood before this assembly. Like them, I intend to address some of the very serious threats before us today, but also the enormous potential waiting to be unleashed. We live in a time of extraordinary opportunity. Breakthroughs in science, technology, and medicine are curing illnesses and solving problems that prior generations thought impossible to solve. But each day also brings news of growing dangers that threaten everything we cherish and value. Terrorists and extremists have gathered strength and spread to every region of the planet. Rogue regimes represented in this body not only support terrorists, but threaten other nations and their own people with the most destructive weapons known to humanity. Authority and authoritarian powers seek to collapse the values, the systems, and alliances that prevented conflict and tilted the world toward freedom since World War II. International criminal networks traffic drugs, weapons, people, force dislocation and mass migration, threaten our borders, and new forms of aggression exploit technology to menace our citizens. To put it simply, we meet at a time of both immense promise and great peril. it is entirely up to us whether we lift the world to new heights or let it fall into a valley of disrepair. We have it in our power, should we so choose, to lift millions from poverty, to help our citizens realize their dreams, and to ensure that new generations of children are raised free from violence, hatred, and fear. This institution was founded in the aftermath of 2 world wars to help shape this better future. It was based on the vision that diverse nations could cooperate to protect their sovereignty, preserve their security, and promote their prosperity. It was in the same period, exactly 70 years ago, that the United States developed the Marshall Plan to help restore Europe. Those 3 beautiful pillars, they're pillars of peace, sovereignty, security, and prosperity. The Marshall Plan was built on the noble idea that the whole world is safer when nations are strong, independent, and free. As President Truman said in his message to Congress at that time, our support of European recovery is in full accord with our support of the United Nations. The success of the United Nations depends upon the independent strength of its members. To overcome the perils of the present and to achieve the promise of the future, we must begin with the wisdom of the past. Our success depends on a coalition of strong and independent nations that embrace their sovereignty to promote security, prosperity, and peace for themselves and for the world. We do not expect diverse countries to share the same cultures, traditions, or even systems of government, but we do expect all nations to uphold these 2 core sovereign duties: to respect the interests of their own people and the rights of every other sovereign nation. This is the beautiful vision of this institution, and this is the foundation for cooperation and success. Strong sovereign nations let diverse countries with different values, different cultures, and different dreams not just coexist, but work side by side on the basis of mutual respect. Strong sovereign nations let their people take ownership of the future and control their own destiny. And strong sovereign nations allow individuals to flourish in the fullness of the life intended by God. In America, we do not seek to impose our way of life on anyone, but rather to let it shine as an example for everyone to watch. This week gives our country a special reason to take pride in that example. We are celebrating the 230th anniversary of our beloved Constitution, the oldest Constitution still in use in the world today. This timeless document has been the foundation of peace, prosperity, and freedom for the Americans, and for countless millions around the globe whose own countries have found inspiration in its respect for human nature, human dignity, and the rule of law. The greatest in the United States Constitution is its first 3 beautiful words. They are, "We the people." Generations of Americans have sacrificed to maintain the promise of those words, the promise of our country and of our great history. In America, the people govern, the people rule, and the people are sovereign. I was elected not to take power, but to give power to the American people where it belongs. In foreign affairs, we are renewing this founding principle of sovereignty. Our government's first duty is to its people, to our citizens, to serve their needs, to ensure their safety, to preserve their rights, and to defend their values. As President of the United States, I will always put America first, just like you, as the leaders of your countries, will always and should always put your countries first. All responsible leaders have an obligation to serve their own citizens, and the nation-state remains the best vehicle for elevating the human condition. But making a better life for our people also requires us to work together in close harmony and unity to create a more safe and peaceful future for all people. The United States will forever be a great friend to the world, and especially to its allies. But we can no longer be taken advantage of or enter into a one-sided deal where the United States gets nothing in return. As long as I hold this office, I will defend America's interests above all else. But in fulfilling our obligations to our own nations, we also realize that it's in everyone's interest to seek a future where all nations can be sovereign, prosperous, and secure. America does more than speak for the values expressed in the United Nations Charter. Our citizens have paid the ultimate price to defend our freedom and the freedom of many nations represented in this great hall. America's devotion is measured on the battlefields where our young men and women have fought and sacrificed alongside of our allies. From the beaches of Europe to the deserts of the Middle East to the jungles of Asia. It is an eternal credit to the American character that even after we and our allies emerged victorious from the bloodiest war in history, we did not seek territorial expansion or attempt to oppose and impose our way of life on others. Instead, we helped build institutions such as this one to defend the sovereignty, security, and prosperity for all. For the diverse nations of the world, this is our hope. We want harmony and friendship, not conflict and strife. We are guided by outcomes, not ideology. We have a policy of principled realism rooted in shared goals, interests, and values. That realism forces us to confront a question facing every leader and nation in this room. It is a question we cannot escape or avoid. We will slide down the path of complacency, numb to the challenges, threats, and even wars that we face. Or do we have enough strength and pride to confront those dangers today so that our citizens can enjoy peace and prosperity tomorrow? If we desire to lift up our citizens, if we aspire to the approval of history, then we must fulfill our sovereign duties to the people we faithfully represent. We must protect our nations, their interests, and their futures. We must reject threats to sovereignty from the Ukraine to the South China Sea. We must uphold respect for law, respect for borders, and respect for culture, and the peaceful engagement these allow. And just as the founders of this body intended, we must work together and confront together those who threaten us with chaos, turmoil, and terror. The scourge of our planet today is a small group of rogue regimes that violate every principle on which the United Nations is based. They respect neither their own citizens nor the sovereign rights of their countries. If the righteous many do not confront the wicked few, then evil will triumph. When decent people and nations become bystanders to history, the forces of destruction only gather power and strength. No one has shown more contempt for other nations and for the well-being of their own people than the depraved regime in North Korea. It is responsible for the starvation deaths of millions of North Koreans and for the imprisonment, torture, killing, and oppression of countless more. We were all witness to the regime's deadly abuse when an innocent American college student, Otto Warmbier, was returned to America only to die a few days later. We saw it in the assassination of the dictator's brother using banned nerve agents in an international airport. We know it kidnapped a sweet 13-year-old Japanese girl from a beach in her own country to enslave her as a language tutor for North Korea's spies. If this is not twisted enough, now North Korea's reckless pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles threatens the entire world with unthinkable loss of human life. It is an outrage that some nations would not only trade with such a regime, but would arm, supply, and financially support a country that imperils the world with nuclear conflict. No nation on earth has an interest in seeing this band of criminals arm itself with nuclear weapons and missiles. The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary. That's what the United Nations is all about. That's what the United Nations is for. Let's see how they do. It is time for North Korea to realize that the denuclearization is its only acceptable future. The United Nations Security Council recently held 2 unanimous 15-0 votes adopting hard-hitting resolutions against North Korea, and I want to thank China and Russia for joining the vote to impose sanctions along with all of the other members of the Security Council. Thank you to all involved. But we must do much more. It is time for all nations to work together to isolate the Kim regime until it ceases its hostile behavior. We face this decision not only in North Korea. It is far past time for the nations of the world to confront another reckless regime, one that speaks openly of mass murder, vowing death to America, destruction to Israel, and ruin for many leaders and nations in this room. The Iranian government masks a corrupt dictatorship behind the false guise of a democracy. It has turned a wealthy country with a rich history and culture into an economically depleted rogue state whose chief exports are violence, bloodshed, and chaos. The longest-suffering victims of Iran's leaders are, in fact, its own people. Rather than use its resources to improve Iranian lives, its oil profits go to fund Hezbollah and other terrorists that kill innocent Muslims and attack their peaceful Arab and Israeli neighbors. This wealth, which rightly belongs to Iran's people, also goes to shore up Bashar al-Assad's dictatorship, fuel Yemen's civil war, and undermine peace throughout the entire Middle East. We cannot let a murderous regime, continue these destabilizing activities while building dangerous missiles, and we cannot abide by an agreement if it provides cover for the eventual construction of a nuclear program. The Iran deal was one of the worst and most one-sided transactions the United States has ever entered into. Frankly, that deal is an embarrassment to the United States, and I don't think you've heard the last of it, believe me. It is time for the entire world to join us in demanding that Iran's government end its pursuit of death and destruction. It is time for the regime to free all Americans and citizens of other nations that they have unjustly detained. And above all, Iran's government must stop supporting terrorists, begin serving its own people, and respect the sovereign rights of its neighbors. The entire world understands that the good people of Iran want change. And other than the vast military power of the United States, that Iran's people are what their leaders fear the most. This is what causes the regime to restrict internet access, tear down satellite dishes, shoot unarmed student protesters, and imprison political reformers. Oppressive regimes cannot endure forever, and the day will come when the people will face a choice. Will they continue down the path of poverty, bloodshed, and terror, or will the Iranian people return to the nation's proud roots as a center of civilization, culture, and wealth, where their people can be happy and prosperous once again? The Iranian regime's support for terror is in stark contrast to the recent commitments of many of its neighbors to fight terrorism and halt its financing. In Saudi Arabia early last year, I was greatly honored to address the leaders of more than 50 Arab and Muslim nations. We agreed that all responsible nations must work together to confront terrorists and the Islamic extremism that inspires them. We will stop radical Islamic terrorism because we cannot allow it to tear up our nation and indeed to tear up the entire world. We must deny the terrorists safe haven, transit, funding, and any form of support for their vile and sinister ideology. We must drive them out of our nations. It is time to expose and hold responsible those countries who support and finance terror groups like Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, the Taliban, and others that slaughter innocent people. The United States and our allies are working together throughout the Middle East to crush the loser terrorists and stop the reemergence of safe havens they use to launch attacks on all of our people. Last month, I announced a new strategy for victory in the fight against this evil in Afghanistan. From now on, our security interests will dictate the length and scope of military operations, not arbitrary benchmarks and timetables set up by politicians. I have also totally changed the rules of engagement in our fight against the Taliban and other terrorist groups. In Syria and Iraq, we have made big gains toward lasting defeat of ISIS. In fact, our country has achieved more against ISIS in the last 8 months than it has in many, many years combined. We seek the de-escalation of the Syrian conflict and a political solution that honors the will of the Syrian people. the actions of the criminal regime of Bashar al-Assad, including the use of chemical weapons against his own citizens, even innocent children, shock the conscience of every decent person. No society can be safe if banned chemical weapons are allowed to spread. That is why the United States carried out a missile strike on the airbase that launched the attack. We appreciate the efforts of the United Nations agencies that are providing vital humanitarian assistance in areas liberated from ISIS, and we especially thank Jordan, Turkey, and Lebanon for their role in hosting refugees from the Syrian conflict. The United States is a compassionate nation and has spent billions and billions of dollars in helping to support this effort. We seek an approach to refugee resettlement that is designed to help these horribly treated people.
All right, folks, welcome. My name is Jen. I'm from Golden State Times. We have footage from where the joint press conference is going to take place. So we're going to take you there live. A screen will come up saying that the stream will be starting soon as we fix it and we get it up on your screen. So it'll just take 1 minute and we'll go there where the press briefing is going to start live here at Golden State Times. Please share the stream and also give it a thumbs up. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for choosing us as your stream of choice. And if you are new to the community, subscribe to the channel by clicking the red button right underneath the video, or also it should be coming up in the links in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Here we go. Give me 1 second. We're almost done and it should be coming up. And let's see here. One more thing and here we go. Thank you very much, like I said, for joining us. Give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Thank you.
Control did not hear this. Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2. Check, check. 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2. 3, 4, 5. Mic check. Mic check. Check. 1, 2. Podium mic check.
Sing a song with the army of the free. brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along.
check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Không nhưng em không được đứng ý. Rồi đây. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3 4 5. Alo 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 testing.
Tiếng Anh.
Alo 1 2 3 4 nghe được chưa?
Chỉ việc nút vào tai thôi. Được chưa?
Phải thử ở bên kia chứ thử gì ở bên này.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2 3 4. Check check. Check 1 2.
Testing English booth.
English booth testing 1 2 3 4 5. English booth.
Testing 1 2 3.
Testing English booth. Testing 1 2 3 4 5. English booth. English booth. Testing 1 2 3 4 5. Testing 1 2 3 4 5. English booth. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. English booth. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. English booth. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Testing. English booth. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's English booth. Do you hear me clearly? English booth.
English
Yeah.
1, channel 1.
Channel 1. No, we can't see what it is. That's fine.
All right, folks, welcome. My name is Jen. I'm from Golden State Times. I'm the host of the stream. Just guys giving you a quick update. They're going to start the joint press briefing in just a few minutes. Right now, they're just signing some paperwork of some business deals. President Donald Trump is picking up billions and billions of dollars from all over Asia. As you guys might know, in China, he picked up $258 billion. In Japan, he picked up another $150 billion. While he's been in Vietnam, he is picking up another $150 billion. So he's just picking up billions and billions of dollars worth of contracts and purchases all over Asia. And right now he's heading towards, after this, he's heading to the Philippines, where he's going to pick up even more money. So the president's just making money left and right, left and right. So right now they're just signing a whole bunch of new business deals with Vietnam. And then after that, he was set to speak at a joint press conference with the Vietnamese president, Quang. So, yeah, that's what's going on right now, folks. If you guys just joined us, please smack a like on this live stream and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you very much to Barbara for the $20 on Super Chat. Those Super Chats help us keep operation, help us stay on the air, and we're getting censored left and right. They deleted our account on Facebook, which we had to start a whole brand new one from zero. They also suspended us for 4 hours on Twitter, and they kept demonetizing us on YouTube. So if you guys want to help out the channel, Super Chat is a very good way of doing it, and we appreciate it very much. And we thank you in advance. So thank you very much, Barbara. So yeah, folks, I'll see you guys in the chat.
We are the U.S. interpreter. Anh chỉ sợ chị không tìm được cái booth, and then I heard you saying where's the interpreter booth, so I went out to find you.
No, can you turn it off for just a second?
Để em đăng lại em bị lạc cái trong đó. Xin quý vị, chúng ta cùng chào mừng Tổng thống Hợp chủng.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the United States of America, His Excellency Mr. Donald Trump, and President of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, His Excellency Mr. Trần Đại Quang.
Xin quý vị, chúng ta cùng chào mừng Tổng thống Hợp chủng.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the United States of America, His Excellency Mr. Donald Trump, and President of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, His Excellency Mr. Trần Đại Quang. Your Excellency Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, Your Excellency Trần Đại Quang, President of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, President Trần Đại Quang and President Donald Trump are now hosting a press briefing to announce the results of their talks. And may I now invite His Excellency President Trần Đại Quang to deliver his remarks. Your Excellency Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, President Trump and I have had fruitful talks about the bilateral relations and regional and international issues of mutual interest. We both share the views that the bilateral relations have scored substantial results over the years, delivering enormous benefits to the people of both countries. During President Trump's state visit to Vietnam, Vietnam and the United States issued a joint statement pledging to further deepen the Vietnam-United States Comprehensive Partnership on the basis of mutual respect for each other's independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and political systems. Within the visit's framework, the two sides reached important agreements on economy and trade. Addressing war legacy issues will receive higher priority, and we are committed to collaborate actively on this matter. Vietnam highly values the United States' decision to cooperate with Vietnam on dioxin cleanup at Bien Hoa Air Base after the two countries successfully concluded the dioxin cleanup project at Da Nang Airport. The President and I discussed regional and international issues of mutual interest. We agreed to strengthen our close coordination at regional and international forums to contribute to the maintenance of peace and stability in the region and the world at large. We also agreed on the importance of the ASEAN-United States strategic partnership. We believe that the development of Vietnam-US relations would not only benefit each country, but also contribute to strengthening ASEAN-US relations for peace, stability, cooperation, and development in the Asia-Pacific and the world. The President's state visit to Vietnam marks a milestone in Vietnam-U.S. relations, creating strong momentum for the substantive and effective and stable development of the bilateral comprehensive partnership. I wish President Trump and members of the U.S. delegation a successful visit, and I hope that you will have good impressions of our country and our people. I sincerely thank Mr. President personally and the American people for the warm friendship towards our country and people, and I appreciate the great efforts to develop Vietnam-U.S. bilateral relations. I would also like to thank all American and Vietnamese reporters who are here today. Thank you very much. Thank you, President Chen Quang. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Donald Trump, President of the United States, to deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much, President Quang, and thank you for your tremendous hospitality during my first visit to Vietnam. It is a pleasure to be with you right here in Hanoi. On behalf of the entire American delegation, I want to thank the Vietnamese people for their warm welcome and to reaffirm the strong friendship and growing partnership between our two nations. Travelers from all around the world, including many Americans, come to Vietnam each year to admire your magnificent limestone mountains, cycle through your many winding hillsides, or swim in the majestic Ha Long Bay. Your nation's magnificence brings different people together from around the world in shared appreciation of the great beauty and splendor of your wonderful country. Over the past 2 decades, our two nations have come together to find common purpose based on common interests, and that's what's happening. It is those crucial bonds we're here to reaffirm today. In May, the United States transferred the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Morgenthau to the people and country of Vietnam. Named for U.S. Treasury Secretary Henry Morgenthau, Jr., this vessel once patrolled the coasts of Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Today, the same American vessel, a gift between partners, is sailing the waters of the Pacific on its way to patrol these coasts for the people of Vietnam. This month, we mark Veterans Day in the United States, and out of war and conflict, we have achieved a deep friendship, partnership, and we have achieved peace. Bound by mutual respect and common experience, our veterans laid the foundation for that achievement between our nations. Our decades-long joint humanitarian efforts with the Vietnamese people and government to account for and recover personnel still missing, so important to us. From the war honors, these horrors of this horrendous war, we want our service members support, and we give total support to the families, and we strengthen the foundation of our comprehensive partnership that is so important to us. In the spirit of our friendship, I want to congratulate President Quang for hosting a very successful APEC leaders meeting this week in Da Nang. Congratulations. You did a fantastic job. Thank you. As I stated in my address to the APEC CEO Summit on Friday, the United States is committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific where strong, independent nations respect each other's sovereignty, uphold the rule of law, and advance responsible commerce. We want our partners in the Indo-Pacific to be proud and self-reliant, not proxies or satellites. We look forward to achieving a bilateral trade agreement with partners who abide by the principles of fair and reciprocal trade. Two very important words, fair and reciprocal. It hasn't been that way for the United States, almost at all. And we're changing that, and we're changing it rapidly. For trade to work, all countries must play by the rules. I am encouraged that Vietnam has recently become the fastest growing export market to the United States. Mr. President, I applaud your efforts to implement economic reforms and increase Vietnam's trade and investment in all directions. The United States is enthusiastic about reforms that promote economic prosperity for all Vietnamese citizens as we look to your growing middle class as a key market for American goods and services. We just had a great discussion about American goods and services coming in to Vietnam. Two-way street. I am confident that American energy, agriculture, financial services, aviation, digital commerce, and defense products are able to meet all of your many commercial needs, and in fact, not only meet them, but what we do is better than anybody else. Moving forward, I welcome Vietnam's commitment to eliminating trade barriers for U.S. agricultural products. It's very important. We must ensure that American farmers and all American companies, especially those in digital services and e-commerce, can compete on a level playing field. And we look forward to working with you to combat predatory and unfair trade practices in the region. On security issues, we continue to work with our Vietnamese partners and with partners across the region on a range of challenges, including maritime security, counterterrorism, human and drug trafficking, cybercrime, and disease prevention. Later today, I will travel to the Philippines, where I will discuss many of these issues at the U.S.-ASEAN Summit and the East Asia Summit. The ASEAN Summit is going to be something, I think, very, very special. I look forward to attending. We will also discuss the growing threat from North Korea. As I said in my speech to the Republic of Korea's National Assembly, all responsible nations must act now to ensure that North Korea's rogue regime stops threatening the world with unthinkable loss of life. Safety and security are goals that should unite all civilized nations. We want progress, not provocation. I mean, we have been provoked. The world has been provoked. We don't want that. We want stability, not chaos. And we want peace, not war. Mr. President, thank you for being such a gracious host during my time right here in Vietnam. I toured areas of Vietnam, and it is magnificent what's happening. Over the past 2 decades, our nations have continued to grow closer in advancing our shared interests. The history of our two nations reveals the possibilities for peace and progress in our world. Moving forward as partners, we will achieve great prosperity and success for the American people and for the Vietnamese people. I thank you very much. Thank you.
Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
Thank you very much, President Donald Trump. And now the floor is open to your questions. President Trần Đại Quang from Vietnam News Agency. Can you elaborate on the progresses in the Vietnam-U.S. relations over the past years? Well, dear reporters, over the past years, the Vietnam-U.S. relations have made very strong progress in all areas, from politics, diplomacy, economy, trade, science and technology, health, humanitarian areas, and people-to-people exchange, and in particular, high-level contacts, meetings, and exchange of delegations on the basis of the comprehensive partnership have produced substantive and meaningful results. And among them, the visit to the United States by Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc in May this year, and the state visit to Vietnam of Honorable President Donald Trump in the very first year of his term of office are the highlights. Meetings between leaders of Vietnam and the President during his visit are very useful, and the meetings give us the opportunity to understand each other better and to work together on areas of mutual interests. The substantive and effective growth of the comprehensive partnership between the two countries have been and will be delivering benefits to our two peoples and contributing to the maintenance of peace, stability, cooperation, and prosperity in the region and the world. Thank you. I'm from VTV and have another question for President Chen Quang. Can you please provide your assessment of the future outlook of the Vietnam-US relationship? Thank you for your question. Well, during the talks that I had with the President, we acknowledge that there is still much room for further expansion of the bilateral relations, and we discussed ways and means to further strengthen the cooperation in a more substantive and effective manner in the time to come. And the two sides also pledged to increase contacts and dialogues, especially the high-level meetings through bilateral visits and meetings at the sidelines of the regional and international forums. Two sides will also promote the momentum for development of the economic trade investment relations on the basis of mutual interest, minimize the trade investment disputes, and will continue to effectively implement the economic and trade agreements that we have signed. We'll also strengthen cooperation in science and technology, environment, climate change, humanitarian issues, human resources development, and expanding people-to-people exchange. For the enhanced comprehensive partnership in the interest of the two peoples and for the benefit of peace, stability, cooperation, and development in the region and the world. Thank you. Well, thank you,
Thank you, Mr. President. And if I could throw a little bit of a change up here, I'll ask both leaders a question as opposed to just one.
Okay.
Mr. President, to you, if we could first, on the way here to Hanoi from Da Nang, you talked about your meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday, in which
Yes.
you said you received further assurances from him that he did not meddle in the U.S. election.
That's true.
There was some uncertainty that brewed back in the United States over your statement that you said when he tells me that, I believe that he means it. That was taken in some circles, including Senator John McCain, to think that you believe that he is saying he did not interfere in the election. Could you once and for all, definitively, sir, yes or no, say whether or not you believe that President Putin and or Russia interfered in the election?
What I said there, I'm surprised that there's any conflict on this. What I said there is that I believe he believes that, and that's very important for somebody to believe. I believe that he feels that he and Russia did not meddle in the election. As to whether I believe it or not, I'm with our agencies, especially as currently constituted with their leadership. I believe in our intel agencies, our intelligence agencies. I've worked with them very strongly. There weren't 17, as was previously reported. There were actually 4. But they were saying there were 17. There were actually 4. But as currently led by fine people, I believe very much in our intelligence agencies. Now, at the same time, I want to be able, because I think it's very important, to get along with Russia, to get along with China, to get along with Vietnam, to get along with lots of countries, because we have a lot of things we have to solve. And frankly, Russia and China in particular can help us with the North Korea problem, which is one of our truly great problems. So I'm not looking to stand and start arguing with somebody when there's reporters all around and cameras recording and seeing our conversation. I think it was very obvious to everybody. I believe that President Putin really feels, and he feels strongly, that he did not meddle in our election. What he believes is what he believes. What I believe is that we have to get to work, and I think everybody understood this that heard the answer. We have to get to work to solve Syria, to solve North Korea, to solve Ukraine, to solve terrorism. And, you know, people don't realize Russia's been very, very heavily sanctioned. They were sanctioned at a very high level, and that took place very recently. It's now time to get back to healing a world that is shattered and broken. Those are very important things. And I feel that having Russia in a friendly posture as opposed to always fighting with them is an asset to the world and an asset to our country, not a liability. And by the way, Hillary Clinton had the reset button. She wanted to get back together with Russia. She even spelled reset wrong. That's how it started, and then it got worse. President Obama wanted to get along with Russia, but the chemistry wasn't there. Getting along with other nations is a good thing, not a bad thing. Believe me, it's a good thing, not a bad thing. And second.
President Quang, if I could ask a question of you, there are some people who believe that Vietnam could make an effective facilitator in bringing the United States and North Korea together to at least lay the groundwork potentially for negotiations. What do you believe Vietnam could bring to the table in that regard?
On North Korea issue, Vietnam is committed to seriously observing all the relevant resolution of the UNSC, and we support the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, and we'll do our utmost and do whatever we can to contribute to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Thank you.
Xin cảm ơn. Xin cảm ơn.
Well, thank you, President Chen Quang.
Tweeted this morning about trying very hard to be friends with Kim Jong-un. Is that really a possibility? What would it take for that to happen at this point? And for President Quang, could you comment on the President's offer to mediate the South China Sea dispute? Thank you.
Steve, I think anything's a possibility. Strange things happen in life. That might be a strange thing to happen, but it's certainly a possibility. If that did happen, it would be a good thing for, I can tell you, for North Korea, but it would also be good for lots of other places, and it would be good for the world. So certainly it is something that could happen. I don't know that it will, but it would be very, very nice if it did.
With regard to the South China Sea issue, I have shared my thoughts with President Donald Trump on the recent developments in this area, and it is our policy to settle disputes in the South China Sea through peaceful negotiations and with respect for diplomatic and legal process in accordance with international law, including the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Thank you very much. Thank you, President Chen Quang and President Donald Trump. We have come to the end of the press briefing today. Thank you all very much for your participation.
All right. Thank you very much, folks, for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. My name is Jen. I'm from Golden State Times. And if you are new to the community, we encourage you to subscribe by clicking the link below and also by giving this stream a thumbs up. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much to the moderators for coming out and trying to keep the chat clean and enjoyable for everyone. You guys make it the best stream on YouTube and the best chat on YouTube. We try to, take away all of the trolls and make sure that they're gone. We have already, banned over 70,000 trolls. 70,000, folks. Okay, so we try to keep the best chat here on YouTube. So thank you very much for helping us out by sharing this stream. If you're watching this after it's uploaded, make sure to check out our previous videos that should be coming up on your screen. Also visit our website, goldenstatetimes.com. And like I said, subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to help out Golden State Times continue operation, please contribute using the links in the description below. PayPal, Patreon is the best to use, and we thank you very much in advance. We try to keep everything up to date and bring you guys every single live stream possible and stuff like that, but YouTube has been censoring us and we need your help. So if you guys would like to contribute, check the links in the description below the video, and we thank you very much in advance. My name is Jen. I'm from Golden State Times, and I hope to see you guys here next time. Peace. Thank you very much to Bacon from Hell for the $10 super chat. You're awesome. You keep the channel going. All your contributions go to continuing Golden State Times, our coverage, our website, where we're not actually censored. Is the only place we're not censored is our website. So we need your help to continue operation of our website, goldenstatetimes.com. And as you guys might know, Facebook shut down our page and we had to start a brand new one from zero. Twitter suspended us for 4 hours, and then we got it back for no reason. And YouTube keeps demonetizing us and taking away monetization and censoring us. So thank you very much for that super chat.